Good morning. I'm Kelly Green, Minister for Emergency Management and Climate Readiness in the Province of B.C. I'm honoured to be here today on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. I'm joined by Chief Dalton Silver of the Sumas First Nation and Ross Siemens, Mayor of the City of Abbotsford. 4 years ago, BC experienced catastrophic floods that cut the west coast off from the rest of Canada. It caused hundreds of millions of dollars of damage and claimed 5 lives. This region of the province, just outside of Vancouver, hosts some of the most fertile land in Canada. It's got major transportation networks that connect our ports in Vancouver to the rest of Canada, and it's got pipelines and other infrastructure that's critical for the functioning of this beautiful country. It also has 150,000 residents. This December, southwestern BC flooded again, and it's really impacted these same communities who have experienced these floods historically. Hundreds of people were forced from their homes and farms were underwater. And the Trans-Canada Highway was shut down. It was a painful echo of 2021. There's a lot of anxiety and hurt in the community. It's a sobering reminder that the communities here are still at risk. When I went to Abbotsford in December, I met Linda. She owns a dairy farm. She showed me the boat that she was using to access her property through the flood waters that had cut them off. I've spoken with dozens of residents and farmers and heard about the actions that they've been trying to take to protect their homes and protect their livestock. The stress of being evacuated and not knowing what you'll come back to is really weighing deeply on these people. The emotional toll of these successive disasters and knowing it can happen again is something that these folks are holding very deeply. We've come here for Linda and her neighbors and farmers and the thousands of people whose homes and livelihoods are still at risk. The three of us have traveled here to Ottawa on a critical mission. We've been working together since 2021 on flood mitigation work, but the challenges are too large and complex for us to do alone. We need the federal government's support. The Fraser Valley is an area of national importance. It's got critical supply chains, port access, pipeline and transmission lines, and without new mitigation structures, flooding is going to continue to damage homes and farms, businesses, and cut off British Columbia from the rest of Canada. This work cannot wait. I'm looking forward to conversations this week with our federal partners, and I hope that we have more to say about this situation soon. I'll now turn it over to Chief Dalton and Mayor Siemens to say a few words. Mayor?
Good morning, everybody, and it is an honor to be here in Ottawa. It's an honor to be here with Chief Silver, with Minister Green. We are thankful that the province and our First Nations and our city is working together. The challenges that we face as a community and as the food security for our province are significant. And as Minister Green has said, this is of national importance. It is an energy corridor, it is a transportation corridor, and it is the economic engine for the Fraser Valley, but it is also the agricultural capital for Canada when you look at the per hectare basis on the land that we are farming on. It is some of the most productive farmland on a per hectare basis in North America. So the challenges that we face are not only for our farmers that have put blood, sweat, and tears into their work for generations, but it is also the $65 billion worth of trade that are coming out of the ports of Vancouver and the Delta Port, traveling through there, all vitally important. So we're encouraged when we hear the Prime Minister talk about energy corridors, transportation corridors, and food security, because as the Prime Minister has said, if a nation can't feed itself, if it can't energize itself, if it can't be self-reliant, then we're in big trouble. And this is a key component for all of those issues that the Prime Minister has talked about. And so we are here, and hopefully we're going to be coming with a commitment from the federal government to step up as they were promised in 2021 and this is critical for us and for our future. So we're very encouraged to be here, and I am looking forward to the partnership and also to talk about the transboundary initiative that happens with the federal government at the in Canada and in the U.S., because the water that we are dealing with is coming over from the U.S. when the Nooksack overflows. So thank you, and with that I will turn it over to Chief Dalton Silver from Semá First Nations.
Thank you, Mayor Siemens. Thank you, Minister Green. I also like to acknowledge the Algonquin peoples whose territories we're on today. And Lamhailtuch is my name, Chief Dalton Silver of Semá. I'm honored to be here with my colleagues from the provincial government and from the City of Abbotsford. Areas of common interest we're here to address with the federal government. In the flood of 2021, we had then Prime Minister Trudeau visit us in Abbotsford. We had a meeting with him, and there were commitments made there about the federal involvement in looking at the solutions. And we have various interests, and I'm here to look after the interests of the Semá people, and it's a diverse situation, but I do believe, you know, we've been working together for more than 4 years now, going on 5 years, I guess, and I think, you know, we're finding common ground, and I'm hoping that we can get some federal involvement and look at the different perspectives that we have and instill those all into a plan that would be great for all of us. And I do think we're here with really the common interest that we're looking at now is public safety and food security with the farmlands that are there. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, Fraser Needham from AP10 News. So I guess, could you be a little more specific, actually, what you're looking for today in your are you meeting with you're meeting with ministers, I guess, or what you're looking for from the federal government?
Mm-hmm. We've been working provincially with 2 local governments, 3 First Nations, on a flood mitigation project for the Sumas area. It's an incredibly large and complex watershed. We are making progress, but we need the federal government to commit to being with us at the table as we finalize what will be the best way to move forward together in reducing flood risk in the area. So we're hoping to have them join us at the table. Their voice has been absent. We'd really like to have them there as we work in partnership towards the next phase, which will be identifying critical infrastructure improvements, fish habitat improvements, things that will help reduce flood risk throughout that area.
Is there a specific amount of money you're looking for, or?
It would be premature at this time to put a dollar figure on it. We're finalizing the work now of identifying which are the best options moving forward to reduce risk. As I said, the watershed is very complex, and through our hydrological modeling, we have noted that depending on where you put infrastructure, you could actually make the situation worse for some people in the area. So that finalization work is happening now. We'd like to have the federal government join us at the table so that we can work in partnership going forward when we identify those solutions.
Are you, I guess the, you know, there has been a change in government, maybe a bit of tone caused by climate change, or believed to be, and yet there's been a bit of a change in terms of carbon taxes for consumers is canceled, and the Prime Minister does talk about energy pipelines, but so far that means oil pipelines and things like that. So are you concerned that the current government is moving away from some of its climate commitments that maybe the previous government made to your province?
We certainly know that in BC we've been on the leading edge of climate change for a while now. We've had incredibly devastating fire seasons, floods that we've historically really rarely seen, and they're happening with such frequency. My job is to make sure that we're mitigating the effects of climate change to make our communities more resilient and be able to bounce back better. I think it's really important that that resiliency is baked into communities, the way that we think about not only the place in which we're living, but the way that we're building homes. It's quite holistic, and I think it's going to take whole of government effort.
Do you consider the current government? Are you okay with their climate change commitments?
It's certainly impactful in BC when we are feeling the effects of climate change. I know that we need to work together to reduce climate impacts. It's something that my ministry wrestles with regularly.
Just for Chief Silver, I'd just like to ask a question as well. Again, along these lines, of course, doesn't affect your area directly, but a lot of First Nations in your province are talking about the MOU that was signed with Alberta to build a coastal pipeline, which was not consulted with First Nations, and also, oil taker ban perhaps be lifted. Are you kind of concerned that right now the federal government is not consulting with First Nations when it comes to some of these environmental things that could happen because of changes they're making?
Yeah, actually, there is a big concern with the how meaningful is the consultation that is actually occurring, and there are a lot of instances where it hasn't. And I think the rights of our people are front and center for a lot of our First Nations reps, our Indigenous representatives, and actually some are meeting today back in BC talking about some of these things and the effects of that. There is an existing pipeline that goes right through the heart of my territory right now, and actually I was talking with one of the representatives yesterday, and we talked about the flooding that has occurred, and they were interested in our trip over here. And I think the flood of 2021, there is some video that shows the Trans Mountain pipeline was exposed and actually flexing around like it was a rubber hose or something like that. It showed some resiliency there, but it really scared a lot of us as to what could happen and what could have happened then and what could possibly happen in the future. So I think the avoidance of a real environmental disaster is something that we really look to try and address here. And like I said, the commitment was made by the previous federal government to be involved with this, and there's a signatory page or a signatory line for them at the agreement that we've all made with our relatives across the border and our friends across the border and with the province and with Abbotsford, and that space is still open to be occupied for the federal representatives. So thank you for the question.
Things like flooding, of course, it's not new. And it kind of falls again under emergency management and climate change, I suppose. We've mostly covered the fires out here because we do have a reporter in BC. But and the most recent flooding, I guess we're talking about this past December. Did you get the assistance from the federal government that maybe you needed in terms of dealing with these floods?
It was pretty quiet from Ottawa, let's say. I think we're hoping to have someone there that can address these things. For the First Nations, our perspective, we'd like to see more in the way of activities and more involvement from the federal government in trying to address the concerns that we all have there. Thank you.
Mr. just as a follow-up, can you be more specific as far as the steps that have been taken to try and involve the federal government and bring them to the table? It's not often we hear from governments, particularly provincial and territorial ones, saying that Ottawa won't come to the table to participate.
Yeah, certainly. We have a Sumas flood mitigation table, and at that table we work together to identify some of the work that's been happening to date has been a lot of modeling and studies to understand better the complexity of the area. We haven't had representation at that table from the federal government. We had a federal observer for one meeting that I'm aware of, but having elected representatives sitting at the table is critically important in understanding the necessity and scope of the work that's required, and to be able to work together to actually deliver results. We need to deliver results for the Sumas area. We cannot afford to cut our ports off from the rest of Canada when we're talking about diversifying our economy and Asia-Pacific trade, not to mention all of the other critical infrastructure that's been mentioned. So This is really important work, and I look forward to having a commitment to do that work together.
I assume invitations had been sent out, otherwise you're saying, what kind of response have you got from Ottawa as far as why they haven't been there yet?
Perhaps I'm not able to speak on their reasons why.
Someone, like, have they RSVP'd?
Yeah.
Has been radio silence from them?
So my understanding is that we will have Minister Olszewski visit us in the future. What I'm looking for, though, is a commitment that that work is ongoing and it's not a one.
You're here in Ottawa saying that the government won't come to the table. We've asked them to come to the table, and so have you gotten a response from them? Have they said, "Hey, thanks for the invitation. Sorry, we just can't make it," or have they given reasons why? Like, sorry, I'm trying to get to the point of your a large part of your remarks.
We need to have that ongoing commitment that they will be with us as partners. That hasn't happened. We would like to get that commitment that they are going to come to the table and stay at the table as we work through these incredibly large and complicated problems. Sending an occasional observer is not sufficient for the work that needs to happen. I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to see some movement, but hopefully I will be able to have positive news for you later in the week.
The last way to ask this: what reasons have you received from Ottawa as to why they've only sent an observer to this point?
I'm not able to speak to their motivations, but I'm speaking from.
What have they told you?
It's perplexing why they're not there. I'm here to seek a commitment for them to attend and to be part of the process.
Yeah, I might just follow that up actually, since you are in Ottawa here. So which ministers are you meeting with while you're here, and officials?
Yeah, meeting with Minister Olszewski and Minister Robertson.
Right, for reporters who joined on Zoom, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function. One question, one follow-up. Pour les journalistes qui se sont joints sur Zoom, si vous avez une question, s'il vous plaît, utilisez la fonction main levée. Une question et une question suivie. Chad Powson, please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking the questions. This is 4 years ongoing. Of course, the catastrophic or more flooding late last year. It sounds like you three and Minister Green, your predecessor, have been asking for the same things over and over again. Why do you think, can you put into words why you think the federal government is just not engaged in this area of British Columbia that you assign so much importance to as a energy corridor and a food producer?
I think we're in a different place right now than we were 4 years ago. I think that there is heightened importance right now on the, having food security, having international trade that isn't the United States, having energy corridors and transmission for electricity that's stable and protected. I'm hopeful that this alignment is going to produce results. I think that there maybe was a hope that flood in 2021 was something that would not be repeated. But we know with climate change is that that's just not what the future holds for us. We know that we're going to be facing increased flooding from climate change, and we know that these severe events are going to recur. My hope is that with strong partnership is we're able to move forward on selecting the best mitigation for the area and be able to have a more secure BC and more secure Canada.
Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
Okay, thanks. My follow-up is in November, I believe, in and around the federal budget, there's this $6 billion fund that was touted through Housing, Infrastructure and Communities Canada for all manner of projects, including flooding mitigation. So I guess the question is, do you know how you can access that money, and are you confident that that is the federal government's commitment to participating in these plans by funding it through that $6 billion?
I'm hopeful that we're able to find a source of funds, but perhaps premature to have a specific dollar value that we're able to move forward on at this point. And I also have concerns about entering into a process where we're competing with other communities for a fund, for a grant. This particular region needs to be able to be prioritized and have that direct connection to government, so that the provincial government, the federal government, our municipal and First Nations partners can move forward on reducing risk for the area.
Thank you. That's all the time we had. Merci, c'est tout le temps que nous avions. Ceci met fin à la conférence de presse. This concludes the press conference.
All right, there you have it. I hope you'll leave your comments and thoughts on this. Like, follow, and subscribe. And we'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye.